You are not being scammed because you are careless. You are being scammed because the system got smarter than you. Imagine this. A woman receives a call from her bank, except it's not her bank. She loses $48,000 in under 20 minutes. A perfectly written email passes every common sense test and still drains an entire savings account. And AI is now creating fake voices, fake identities, even fake urgency, faster than most people can think. This isn't about technology. This is about how money is quietly being taken from people who think they are being careful. And the uncomfortable truth? Most people don't realize what's happening until it's too late. This channel is based on real experience, not theory, but how financial systems actually behave when things go wrong. And today we're going to break something down that is changing very fast. But before we go deeper, one thing. This is not financial advice. This is about understanding risk so you can make better decisions, because what you're about to see is not about being smart. It's about understanding how the system now works against you. Let's start with something simple. You get a message from your bank, and it has the correct logo, the correct tone, the correct formatting, and even the right timing after a real transaction. So you trust it. Why wouldn't you, right? Here's the problem. That message may not have come from your bank at all. AI has now removed the biggest weakness scammers used to have. They used to look fake, now they don't. Emails are clean, messages are precise, language is flawless. In fact, in many cases, better written than real communications. What actually happens? You click a link. It takes you to a login page that looks identical. You enter your credentials. Nothing crashes. Nothing looks wrong. You continue your day. Meanwhile, access has already been transferred. But here are the real consequences. Money doesn't disappear immediately. That's the trap. It moves slowly, quietly across accounts until it's gone. According to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, reported fraud losses continue to rise every year, and a significant portion now involves digitally enhanced scams. Not obvious fraud, convincing fraud. Ask yourself the following question. Would you recognize a fake if it looked exactly like the real thing? Now, let's take this further. You receive a call, and it's your daughter, or your son, or someone you trust. They sound panicked. They say, "I need help, please don't ask questions." And the voice, it's identical. AI can now replicate voices with just a few seconds of audio. From social media, from videos, from voicemail. This is not theoretical. It's happening. The scam doesn't rely on logic. It relies on emotion and urgency. You are not thinking about verification. You are reacting. And that reaction is where money is lost. But here is the real consequence. People are wiring money, transferring funds, or giving access within minutes, not because they are careless, but because the situation feels real. In financial systems, fraud doesn't succeed because people are unintelligent. It succeeds because systems are designed around trust assumptions. And when those assumptions are manipulated, even careful people fail. If someone you trust calls you in distress, will you stop to verify? Or will you act? This is where most people misunderstand the problem. They think, I just need to be more careful. That's outdated thinking. You are no longer just the user. You are the target system. AI doesn't just imitate banks. It studies behavior, timing, patterns, reactions, and builds attacks around them. Let's say you recently transferred money. You are expecting a package. You are dealing with a payment. AI-generated scams can now match that context. So the message doesn't feel random, it feels expected. So you don't question it because it fits your current reality. And that's the shift. Scams are no longer random interruptions, they are now aligned with your life. And this is something you start to understand very clearly. When you work inside systems where fraud detection, compliance, and behavioral patterns intersect across multiple countries, the issue is not lack of awareness, it's how quickly manipulation has evolved. What if the next scam you receive is perfectly timed to your current situation? This is where things become uncomfortable. Most people assume if something goes wrong, my bank will fix it. I gotta tell you, not always. Banks operate on authorization logic. If you clicked, if you approved, if you transferred, then, from a system perspective, you authorize the transaction. What actually happens? You report the fraud. The bank investigates. But the question is not, was this a scam? The key question is, did the customer authorize the transaction? Because this is the real consequence. And in many cases, the answer is yes, even if you were manipulated. Regulatory frameworks like those overseen by FinTrack focus on detecting suspicious activity, but they do not eliminate the risk of authorized fraud. That risk remains with the individual. So this is where real-world financial disputes become complex because the system is not designed to interrupt emotion, pressure, or deception. It is designed to interpret actions. In other words, if you made a decision, even under pressure, who is responsible? Now, let's go deeper. The most dangerous scam today doesn't look like a scam. AI is creating too much information, too many options, too many signals, too many decisions, and when that happens, people default to the fastest answer. And this is exactly what actually happens. You skim instead of read, you react instead of verify, you trust speed over clarity, and that's exactly what these systems exploit. These are the real consequences. You are not losing money because you don't know enough. You are losing money because you are being forced to decide too quickly. In high-risk environments, whether financial systems, fraud detection, or regulatory oversight, the biggest failures don't come from lack of intelligence. They come from decision pressure. When was the last time you slowed down before making a financial decision? Let's be clear. This is not about being paranoid, avoiding technology, or becoming an expert. This is about one shift. How do you think before you act? Instead of asking, is this real? Start asking, what is the risk if I am wrong? For example, if it's real, you lose 2 minutes verifying. If it's fake, you could lose thousands. Here is another shift. Pause before clicking, transferring, responding. Even 60 seconds changes outcomes. Speed is now the enemy of financial safety, not ignorance. If you value clear, structured financial thinking, consider subscribing, because this is what we do here. We break down how systems actually behave. There's something else most people don't realize. Risk is not just in scams, it's in how accounts are set up, how decisions are made, how exposures build over time. And most people never see it clearly. That's why I've been developing something called a financial risk scan. Not advice, not predictions, but a structured way to look at where your exposure actually is, where decisions could create problems, where systems may fail you. Because once you understand your risk, you don't react the same way. You don't panic, you don't rush, you don't fall into pressure. You see it differently. Here is the reality. The next generation of scams will not look like scams. They will look like normal decisions, trusted interactions, routine action. And that's why they are dangerous. This is not about fear, it's about awareness. Because once you understand how the system works, you stop reacting blindly inside it. If you want to think clearly about money, risk, and decisions in this new environment, stay here because this is only the beginning.